Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
We would like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet runs now through March 30th with high-quality action throughout, including the Florida Derby on Saturday, March 29th. Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. I am Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. Big day down at Gulfstream with Pegasus and an undercard of really nice stakes over at Oaklawn, the Southwest, and an undercard of really nice stakes. I read, I think it was Mary Rampolini tweeted out earlier this morning, no workouts at Oaklawn today, but they'll be racing this afternoon. So again, the part of the weather that everybody has been experiencing over the past couple of weeks, but with the big card, they'll be rolling this afternoon down in Oaklawn. We'll talk about all of that action. I caught up with Mark Casse yesterday. We'll have him a little bit later on. He's got some runners in the Pegasus Stakes and a very interesting runner in the Southwest over at Oaklawn. So we'll hit on that a little bit later with Mark Casse, but we'll kick things off with our friend Ellis Star. You can catch his work as the racing analyst at Equibase and Beyond, America's Best Racing, some other sites also. We'll take a look at some of that action at both Gulfstream and Oaklawn with Ellis. Good morning.
Good morning, Seth. Good morning, racing fans. What a great day racing in Gulfstream, and of course the road to the Derby race. Just really nice, even with the cold weather. The cold weather, but the action's heating up. Is that right?
I like that. Yeah, very good, very good. I see what you did there, and I appreciate it. Before we get to the action, a couple nights ago, the Eclipse Awards. Any thoughts on the Eclipse Awards? I don't think there were any surprises. I mean, if you look down, I have the voting totals here. The actual first place vote totals were over on the NTRA website, and pretty much everything was kind of clear-cut voting-wise. Torpedo Anna for 3-year-old filly, no surprise, unanimous. The two closest vote totals were Chad Brown and Kenny McPeek for Trainer. Chad had 101, Kenny McPeek had 88, and Male Turf Horse, Rebels Romance 89, Johans 81. Other than that, they were all pretty clear winners in the various categories. And watching the event, I thought Chad Brown was funny when he came up. He said, I finally won a photo versus Kenny McPeek. That was it. They said, I'd kind of trade this photo for the Kentucky Derby if you want to trade. And I thought the apprentice jock, Eric Asmussen, gave a nice heartfelt speech. So it was an interesting night watching the event. But did you have any post-eclipse thoughts?
No, I mean, it's interesting. As a side note, there was a great article by, I think it was Natalie Voss Pollock yesterday, talking about, that there were, of course, the post reaction is about, were there snubs? Why didn't more people write in Brian Hernandez and stuff like that? And that's all very interesting. There is no guidance given to the voters. And so you really are going off of the past performances and your recollections and, waiting whether something is more important later than sooner. But I don't think overall there was anything that I felt was really out of sorts, I guess is the way. And Torpedo Anna, of course, that was the obvious one. Everything else is up for debate. I understand everybody's feelings about, Brown winning the photo, as he said, and Eric Asmussen was definitely deserving of the Apprentice Eclipse.
I get the Kenny McPeek thing for the Trainer. It was a fun story. He did a great job with Torpedo Anna all year long, not just on the track, but servicing the fans as well. Up in Saratoga, he would tweet out, "I'm going to be on track tomorrow morning at such and such." And,
it's fantastic.
Yeah, he did a great job. But I also kind of you look at the record Chad had with a number of different horses winning grade ones.
Yeah.
For me, it was hard to go against Chad, and I think Kenny McPeek is going to be in the record books regardless for the year he had, because he trained the horse of the year, and she will be remembered for a long time. And that Derby Oaks double Friday and Saturday puts him in the record books as well. So he's going to be remembered for this year, regardless of whether he walks away with an Eclipse or not.
Yeah, I agree. It may be unfair or fair, but if you think about if Mystic Dan had won the Malibu at least, the last big race here, that would maybe that might have tilted voters towards Kenny a little more. It's tough to, I hate to say this, I mean, if you put myself at a 15,000 foot view, it's tough to criticize or demote Kenny from the Trainer of the Year based on Mystic Dan not running as well at the end of the year as he did in the Derby, or even after the Derby, I should say. And that could be the reason. If it was opposite, you wonder if Mystic Dan had run so well he ran good in the Preakness, of course, but if he had run better in the Belmont and after the time off, if he had won the Malibu, that would be a whole different argument, I think.
And I don't know if you watched or not, but I commented yesterday morning, and I'll do it again for people who are watching on the weekends. As a television person, I used to own a small television production company for years and years. And I also was more in the day an award show watcher, the Academy Awards and the Golden Globes. Now I don't even know half of the movies, but still, just as an award show guy, I think they did a nice job, it's kind of a thankless job against, in front of a crowd of horse racing people. And so I think they did a fine job. My one criticism, turn the lights up in the room, because every once in a while they turn the cameras out into the audience, and you kind of like to see who's there, and it was too dark to see. So my thing is, turn the lights up, and then let's see who was there, and the nominees and whatnot. That's the one criticism I would have of the broadcast.
Yeah, I understand. Well, we'll see what happens with the Oscars when they come up, if they turn the lights down, and they won't, of course.
Yeah, they do a good job, because you want to see who's out in the audience. So
yeah,
all right,
especially when they're announcing the noms.
Yeah. All right, let's jump in, and we'll start over at Gulfstream and kind of work our way backwards from the big event, the Pegasus World Cup Invitational. Race number 13 today, $3 million up for grabs, a mile and an eighth the trip. I have pulled up the scratches here, and number 8, Vitality, is a scratch in the Pegasus. But we're going to go back and take a look a little earlier on the resume, about 3 races back for Skippy Longstockings. We're going to take a look at the Charlestown Classic. Skippy Longstocking is going to be the number 7 horse here and get it done. Subsequently ran second in the Woodward and 6th in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Tyler Gaffleone on board today for Safi Joseph. I'm taking a shot, not a shot. I'm going with White Barrio. I think if he can toss in a good effort, he's going to be very interesting, obviously. And Saudi Crown has maybe a chance to steal it. I'm a little bit against Locked with the post position, a mile and an eighth at Gulfstream. And at the bottom of my mix, I put Mystic Dan. I'm intrigued, really intrigued to see what he does this afternoon after that, the aforementioned Malibu effort. But what did you see in the Pegasus World Cup?
Well, we'll go backwards. Mystic Dan works at Gulfstream fantastic. Yeah. But again, the race before the layoff, the Belmont, and the Malibu, I mean, it's just tough. And, he just doesn't show that, and you can't find excuses for those races, even though I do like going from 7 to 9 furlongs. White Barrio, great. But that, as I pointed out, and this is, of course, our Race of the Week, our Race of the Week article, at least in terms of Equibase figures, his last 2 races, even though they were good, the 10-length win after coming back from that poor effort in the Met was a 104, and then the last race, the Mr. Prospector, just decidedly a prep, also 7 furlongs, 100 Equibase speed figure. That's just not going to cut it. And I'm against Locked as well, but not necessarily for the reason you mentioned. It's because he hasn't run 9 furlongs yet. The last 2 races were one turn, and he was very fast. He got a great 113 figure. But, no knocks on Mulligan and post time, and the post. But, you mentioned Skippy Longstocking, which means you probably saw the article. That's
I did.
Race of the Week at Equibase and ABR. And I'm making the case that not just his efforts in the Charlestown Classic, but his Oaklawn Handicap effort from April is the race that is the most representative of today, of this race, because it's 9 furlongs. Charlestown, of course, is 2.5, 3 turns. They're 9 furlongs. So that was the Oaklawn, and that was the one where he ran arguably the best race of the year. He got a 114 figure. He came from just off the pace, which puts him in a great spot here, probably second or third early behind Saudi Crown, who's, like you said, from the 2 posts, he's going to use his speed. And Skippy Longstocking, just seems like that the race that did it. He also ran fairly well off a layoff a couple of times. He ran off a short layoff in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile in 23 when he was third. He ran second in the Cornhusker back in 23. He ran third in the Foster off a short layoff. And he likes Gulfstream. He's got 3 wins there. and Gaffley getting back on is fine with me. So I just think that also historically, the horses that have come out of the Breeders' Cup, Dirt Mile, or Classic, no matter how poorly they've run, when they run in this race, for the most part, they run really well. Even though, it's grade one, still a different grade one, the Breeders' Cup races, the Dirt Mile and the Classic. So another reason is that in class. And I pointed in the article that two other horses coming out of the Breeders' Cup, Mixto, who ran in the Classic, but then he ran third in the Native Divers, so he couldn't win a grade 3, so he's kind of out. And the other was Saudi Crown, who was 13th in the Dirt Mile, came back to win Tenacious. And by the way, 9-2, first of all, 10-1 could be long stocking, would be a gift if he runs as expected. And I could easily see betting him and Saudi Crown, because 9-2 is also very high, because you've got Wyatt Barrio at 3 and Locked at 5-2. And Saudi Crown, again, the plan's going to go to the lead. He can rate. He showed it in the Tenacious. That was a great prep. That was a 113 figure. His best ever was the same as Skippy Longstock. He won 14 in the Pennsylvania Derby back in 2023, of course. And he just likes to win. 6 for 12. He's won at 9 furlongs. Florent rides him well. That's basically a tactical issue. And then I think I give a little shot to Stronghold, who's also 10. I thought he'd be higher. I think 10's a little low for him. But he's a newly turned 4-year-old who ran second in the Malibu. Again, the stretch out from 7 to 9. You can't really knock him. Second to Seize the Gray in the Pennsylvania Derby. Second to Dragoon Guard in the Indiana Derby. His Kentucky Derby wasn't good, but then he won the San Diego Derby and the Sunland Derby. So, he can get the trip. He's coming in the race in great form, second off the layoff. I think it's a great betting race. I'm looking to bet 2 of these 3 to win, and I'm going to box the 3 in an exact. I might play another ticket with Wyatt Barrio and Locked at second, but certainly if the morning lines hold up at 10-1, 10-1, 9-2, this is a race to make a lot of money. And if someone likes any of those 3 horses, again, very profitable race. If Locked and Wyatt Barrio do have the chinks in their armor, so to speak.
Stronghold, listening to people all week long, Stronghold's getting a little buzz. He's interesting to me, but trying older for the first time, it just concerned me. Yeah. But, again, if you get that morning line price, then that mitigates those concerns a little bit. I agree with you. I think it's a fun race.
And if you toss out his one try in the Derby at 10 furlongs, underneath 10 furlongs, he's 9 for 9 in the money. I mean, you cannot leave a horse that's that game out of your exact and trifecta plays.
Yeah. All right, let's go one race back to the Pegasus World Cup turf, mile and an eighth on the grass. Let me just pull up again. What did I have here? I'm seeing if they listed their. I don't see their listing of, and I'm looking at the firm. It is listed as firm. Yeah, I'm looking at the simulcast signal on my other monitor. So grass listed as firm. They've not been running. I think they've been taking care of it this week. In this race, looking at the scratches, Siege of Boston. Dave Grenick had mentioned earlier this week that Jimmy Toner had said that one's probably going out at number 14, Paros, second on the AE list. But Fort Washington draws in. But I pulled up a replay here. We're going to look at the Seabiscuit back in November at Del Mar. It's going to be me, Hermano Ramon. That's a horse I like and is at the bottom of my mix. But for me, I'm taking some pops in here. And again, what I think is another fun betting race. I thought Battle of Normandy for our friends at West Point was live in here off a string of wins, including the River City at Churchill most recently, 20-1 on the morning line. And Integration, also from West Point, trained by Shug. Both of these trained by Shug, coming out of a win in the Red Smith. Win for the Money. Again, we talked to Mark Casse later, so we'll hit on Win for the Money from Live Oak as a player to me. I'm taking a little bit of a stand against Nation's Pride. If you look last year, he came out of that Bahrain race and ran third in the follow-up with a little bit of a longer layoff. But we'll see how that works out for me. What were your thoughts in the Pegasus Turf?
So, first of all, I say about Nation's Pride, very interesting comment. Randy Blanc reached out to me earlier this week because it was something about the past performance line. And, they show left-handed and right-handed in the DRF itself, Equibase products don't. And he apparently, William Buick on some interviews said that he just hated running right-handed. He just hated it. And those were right-handed races, and you can toss them out. And other than that, he's okay. So I'll use him. As far as the depth, I agree. I have 8 horses here that I'm probably going to mess around with exactas and trifectas. There's only one win contender for me, and this is on one of the blogs that fans can find by going to Blue Sky or Twitter or Threads. I tweet them all out and links to my blogs. It's me, Hermano Ramon. We were just talking about the Breeders' Cup and, of course, Johannes being right there in the tie for Turf Horse. I mean, coming in second to Johannes by 3/4 of a length after making the lead with a big sweeping move on the turn from 5th to 1st in the San Gabriel. That's like winning a race to me. Hermano Ramon just ran a winning race. If you're going to run second to Johannes, you're going to run a winning race. Because Johannes, except for his second in the Breeders' Cup Mile, won like 5-6 in a row. And his last 2 races have just been back-to-back bombs. 120, 123. Equibase speed figures, by far the best in the field. I think closest Nation's Pride, 121 second in the Manhattan last year. Hermano Ramon just has the right position, the good jockey Saez is now used to him after riding him. And again, if he's 8-1, I'm not going to make this huge win bet, but it's going to be one of my bigger win bets in my arsenal for Hermano Ramon. And then since he has 4 wins in 2 seconds, he's so consistent. I'm going to box him up with almost everybody in the field. I was hoping Pyro stayed in because that was interesting because that was Maker's other horse, and he was going to be 50-1. The other maker of the race is, I remember here, is Chasing the Crown, who's 20-1. But I could make a case for Win for the Monies you mentioned at 12. I could make a case for Major Dude. I could make a case for Battle Normandy for sure, coming off 4 straight wins. For Washington beaten the neck by Major Dude, so you got to use him as well. Balnikov, so many. But I'm really, this is for me, I only have 1 win contender. That's Hermano Ramon because he is just top of his game right now. And, Johannes would be odds on in this field.
Again, I like it because this is just a fun field and taking a little stand. And I agree with everything you said about Hermano Ramon. I just thought others were a little more intriguing. I have that one at the bottom of my mix, and if I'm boxing things up, I will certainly use them. But I'm intrigued to see when they go in the gate what the odds are, and intrigued when they run the race because I think it is a fun race on the card. One race before that, the Inside Information. This one for the fillies and mares going 7 furlongs. Going to pull up a replay here. The Sugar Swirl back in December at Gulfstream Park. It's going to be the number 7 Mystic Lake. I like her for Safi Joseph coming out of this win. Stretches out to the 7. She's run well at that distance before. Irad is on board, but I think Emery for Brad Cox is intriguing. Nick Style for hold on. Let me check that because I'm looking at the scratches. So the 1 is out. Nick Style is actually out. Sterling Silver is out, and Dazzling Move is out. So 1, 2, 3, and 5 are out according to the scratches I have. So I'm left with the 7 and the 9, Mystic Lake and Emery, kind of master the obvious here. But what are your thoughts in the Inside Information?
Yeah, I'm mastering the obvious. Now we're down to 5 horses. This is just a race for pick 4, late pick 4. Just use 7 and 9. If you take away Mystic Lake's 2-turn races, she's 6 for 10 with 3 seconds, 9 for 10 first or second. She's 3 for 4 at 7 furlongs. But there's a but here. The only time that Emery faced her, Emery beat her back in the victory ride at Aqueduct at 6.5. And basically, maybe I'm going to say she doesn't carry a track with her. She's won at so many different tracks. Emery's slight advantage, maybe the outside post. Also, the fact that she's a 4-year-old. Mystic Ride's both 4 as well. But I like Emery coming back fresh as opposed to Mystic Ride second off the left, which sounds weird, but that's what I do. But you're not going to get value for win bets. I might just, play Emery and Mystic Lake, Emery Mystic Lake, and pick 1 horse to come in third as just a fun trifecta. But definitely this does cut down tickets from the pick 4 because these 2 stick out by a mile against the rest.
And after having talked about the previous 2 races, I think you need a race where you can cut down a little bit because you may want to go deeper in some of these legs, certainly. And we kick off that late pick 4 in race number 10, which is the Pegasus World Cup Filly and Mare Turf, 1 1/16 on the grass. And I'm going to pull up here a replay of Sacred Wish winning the Matriarch back in December. Sacred Wish here is going to be the number 1 horse. George Weaver trainee with John Velasquez on board. Your scratches in this race, number 5, Fluffy Socks, number 9, Ocean Club, and number 12, See You Around. but I'm going to use a little bit of Sacred Wish in here off of that Matriarch win. Rakia, the number 1 horse for Todd Pletcher, first start in the United States, was a nice win. I think that one's playable. Be Your Best for Safi Joseph. Chad Brown had Fluffy Socks that was in my mix, but as I say, that one scratched. Unfortunately, came up with a little ding and was announced as retired, so unfortunate there. But 10, 1, and 3, interesting to me. What are your thoughts in the filly and mare turf?
Well, it is a really good race. I'm glad the scratch didn't affect it. A lot of the horses prepped for this race in the Suwannee River on December 21st. And Be Your Best came out on top at 5-1. She's 6-1 here, which is weird because she expected to be lower. Of course, Papilio was second. Ocean Club was third. I'm going to take the horse that was sixth in that blanket finish, and that was Bless My Stars. This is one of those South African horses that took a lot of time to come around, purchased by Barbara and Team Valor. She'd been prepping, I think, pointing to this all along, but didn't get any races in at all between February and December. Oh, and it's Pletcher's other horse, as you mentioned, Rakia. Rakia is 4-1. Bless My Stars is 8. I'm intrigued for 2 reasons. First, Irad Ortiz rode her for the first time. He's riding her back. So you got, the number 1 jockey in the country, and certainly the leading jockey at the meet, choosing to ride it back. 8-1 then, 8-1 now. And I watched the race, and maybe she just wasn't used to the pace of U.S. races, which happens a lot with foreign horses because she lagged. But if you watch the last 100 yards, oh my gosh, she flew into that race. It says 9th to 6th in the PPs, but it's more like 5.5 lengths back to 1 3/4 lengths back. And as they cross the wire, she's actually lapped on all of the top 5 horses. And that is really good for me. She came home in 22-2, just too late. Nobody can run that fast as far as that in that race. Rakia in her Goldakova 22-6. Be Your Best, who won that race, won it near the lead. She ran 23 and change. Bless My Stars, I think, is going to run a bomb for a race, second time in the U.S. The post won't be a problem. The distance, an extra 16 certainly won't hurt her. And you're getting all the value in the world. Rakia is the other one. I'm going to use Pletcher. Pletcher's going to win. One of these 2 horses is going to win this race. So Rakia is the other one. Certainly that U.S. debut was fantastic. She almost won the Group 3 in July and had been off, 4 months to the November 2nd race, the Goldakova. She actually ran, like I said, 22-6 on the lead, which means she wasn't getting tired. She did run slow early, so she did have some left. Frankie on the rail. Frankie showed a bunch of times last year when, like a horse named Ruby Nell, you might remember, for Mandela, who won some graded stakes, just going out and making him play Come Catch Me. And from the rail, even though you think this is a really good field, it is. But a horse like this can establish a lead and also second time off the layoff and second in the U.S. So those are 2 top picks for me. Papilio, that wasn't one of the scratches, if I remember you saying. So Papilio is good. 9 for 19, first or second, a must use for the exotics. Sacred Wish, as you said, same thing. 10 for 17, first or second. When you look at their records, though, you got to remember, Sacred Wish is 4 wins in 6 seconds. Papilio has 4 wins in 5 seconds. I don't necessarily want to bet those horses to win, but they're must use for exactors, as opposed to Bless My Stars, who's 5-1, and Rakia is 5-0. So you got horses that love to win versus horses that are just as content to finish second. It could be mental. It could be the field they chase. I don't know which one, certainly. And Be Your Best. So for me, it's 111 over 1, 3, 8, 10, 11, by the way, for exactors and win bets on both 111. This is actually more. I'm going to look forward to this race more than I am the other 3, though they're all going to be good. But it's the one I'm most looking to wager on.
As you were talking, you may have convinced me to at least play a little something on Bless My Stars if we get the morning line. Because, that race, they hit the 3/4 in 1:10 and change, and then they finished the mile in 1:33 and change. And Bless My Stars was closing into that was a fast finish to the race, and that she was closing in is definitely worth paying attention to.
Yeah, if anyone has a chance to watch the replay, I'm not trying to talk you into it, but watch the replay. You don't see her much because they pan in on the top horses. But she gets in the picture, and then right when they gallop out, you'll see how fast she was running. And if you have the chance to watch the head on, you could definitely see. It just was a matter of, being wide, but more just her just not used to the fast pace of U.S. races. I think she's going to get it, and Irad's going to have her in a better position this time in the last eighth of a mile.
All right, let's shift our attention over to Oaklawn in the Southwest. Again, they have a nice stakes card all day there as well. But the Southwest, part of that rich, march to the Triple Crown on the Oaklawn side of things. This is $1 million for the 3-year-olds going 8.5 furlongs. And I think you like my horse as well, but you have another one in the mix. So a little bit later with Mark Casse, we're going to see the replay of Sandman, who I like in here. But we're going to take a look here at the maiden special from American Promise. Took 6 starts, but got it done last time for trainer D. Wayne Lucas and did it very nicely. The buyer is 95, so a solid number there. Again, I think Sandman is very intriguing in here, off a nice win last time as well, and we'll talk with Mark Casse about that one. Patch Adams, clearly going to take a lot of action for Brad Cox. Gaming, publisher, interesting. But how did you see the Southwest?
Well, there's no point. I mean, the old adage, don't bet a horse at low odds doing something for the first time.
Yeah.
Patch Adams
Harvey Pack.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But no, when?
The old Harvey Pack motto.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get 5-2 morning line. No, you're gonna be 4-5. And Gaming, the same thing. I mean, Gaming is a horse that is second for the last 3/8 of a mile in the juvenile, second, third in the Law South Futurity. Why would you want to bet this horse? I mean, not honestly. Why would you want to bet this horse to win off of those lines? Yes, it's Baffert. I understand that. Last week in the Lecomte, one of my blogs, I loved Innovator for Lucas, and Torres did everything right with this horse, put him on the lead like I expected, and he got beat, I think, maybe 3/4 of a length or a length at 18-1. And Lucas has the same thing here. Lucas still has everything. I mean, not only all his marbles, but he just knows the way to win races with these horses is to use their natural talent, in this case, the speed, and that's what they finally did. It's interesting that he had rated his first 3 races, you could forget, so they put blinkers on. And then the first 2-turn race with blinkers on with Saez, sat second, made the lead, only got beat a half a length. Surrender Judgment, who's also in here, who ran third in the Gun Runner. And then next time out, second, made the lead with a quarter to go and ends up fourth to Monet's Magic, who's also in here. And then finally he said, let's just go to lead. Maybe it was Tyler Bacon, the apprentice. I'm not sure. The rail certainly didn't hurt. But those tactics work. They're going to be used again. And as far as the speed, this horse has the best last race Equibase speed figure in the field, 102. And just to compare, still a 95 buyer, which is only 3 points less than Patch Adams 98. But you're looking at 6-1 on American Promise versus probably 4-5 on Patch Adams. And it's incredible. And this horse did not slow down. The pace figure was 106, 102, and then a 102 final. So this was a horse that did not slow down. The pace was okay, 112. I just think he can do it. The only other one is Speed King, who has speed, but he's outside of American Promise. So I doubt that he gets in front of him. Surrender Judgment's adding blinkers, but I don't think he'll go. Gaming might go. That's Baffert's strategy, but again, I don't think he's as fast as American Promise. So that's it. And then certainly Sandman and American Promise both have races at Oaklawn, which is great. Sandman's on an improving pattern coming off a 97. Another step forward. I think it was 92 to 97. So he's easily in the same range and 5-1. You'll probably hear this from Cassie, but Sandman is a half to She Can't Sing, who won $883,000, accrued to Chaluki, and a bunch of other stakes, multiple stakes winner, 2 turns, mostly turf, but some dirt. So for me, this is similar to the race at Gulfstream where I only have 2 horses. I'm betting American Promise and Sandman to win. I may not even mess around with exactas because it's not going to be worth it with Gaming or Patch Adams coming in second, because I think one of them could probably run second. But if you're going to have a good win price, you don't need to have a favorite coming in second in exotics. But I view these 2 horses even. I think I made them both 2-1 on the blog I wrote about this race. So I bet them both at 2-1 better. And we're definitely going to get that price considering how heavy Patch Adams is going to get bet.
Yeah, I think both Patch Adams and with Baffert Gaming will get played. So I think there will be some value on both Sandman and American Promise. Again, fun race, a fun little step along the Triple Crown Trail down at Oaklawn on a really nice day of racing. Certainly, Gulfstream and Oaklawn and beyond. But hopefully we gave you some good ideas there. I think it's a fun, intriguing afternoon. Ellis, as always, appreciated the conversation and the thoughts. Wish you a lot of good luck this afternoon. And, of course, we will talk again.
Thanks again. Everybody have a great day. Enjoy some of the most fantastic racing there is so far this year.
Again, Ellis Star, National Racing Analyst. You can find his Race of the Week analysis at Equibase. And again, we had his Twitter feed up there, his Twitter handle. Go there. He links to a lot of his other blogs and websites as well. You can find him at multiple places. So check that out. We'll take a break. When we come back, again, caught up with Mark Casse yesterday. He was actually in the car from his, Ocala area base, headed down to Gulfstream yesterday. But we had a nice chat with Mark. He's got horses in a couple of the Pegasus Stakes today. He has Sandman in the Southwest. We talked about a couple of recent stakes winners where they may be headed going forward. All of that when Racing Across America continues. Stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Big day down in Florida on Saturday, Gulfstream Park, the Pegasus, and a nice undercard of stakes. And over at Oaklawn, a big day as well, Southwest, and a nice undercard of stakes. We'll touch on both of those venues with my next guest, who has horses running both in Florida and over in Arkansas. Mark Casse joins us. Mark, good morning.
Thanks for having me, Seth.
Happy to have you to talk about some of the nice stakes action, stakes performers you have coming up. You're as we talk, you are headed, I believe, to Gulfstream, correct?
Yes, I watched horses work at our training center this morning in Ocala, and now heading south for the races tomorrow.
Very good. Let's hit on. You've got a couple in the Pegasus World Cup Filly and Mare Turf. I find both of them very interesting. A horse that I've liked throughout her career, Pounce, goes out for John Stewart and his Resolute Racing. We're going to take a look at the Mrs. Revere back in November. Pounce is going to be the number 3 horse, run second here behind number 3 Kehoe Beach. So the first start of the 4-year-old season for Pounce. Talk a little bit about expectations for her on Saturday.
Well, she loves Gulfstream. I'm hoping. We have had a lot of rain down South Florida. I'm hoping that it's not too soft, but got a great coast, and she just needs a good trip.
As we can see here, nice second down at Churchill. I like that Mrs. Revere. I like those late season turf races. The River City for the boys. So coming out of that, but give me a little some thoughts on her. As I say, I've liked her throughout the career. Now a newly turned 4-year-old. So she's going to be facing older for the first time. Is that a concern for a trainer on the trainer side of things?
Of course, yes, it always is. You just don't know. They need to mature. It's like playing in high school. Now she's going to play in college.
You also have Papilio in there. Again, I found both of your runners intriguing, and we're going to take a look at Papilio. Also, a second-place finish in the most recent start, end of December at Gulfstream in the Swanee River. Papilio's going to be the number 4 horse, run second here to number 7, Be Your Best. Give me your thoughts on Papilio and the chances on Saturday.
I thought her race was really good at the Swanee River. I mean, she was held up with nowhere to go. I think with a little luck, she probably could have won it. Again, you know as well as I do, Seth, in these turf races, you just got to have a good trip and hope for the best. But both fillies are coming into the race really good, so they'll run well.
And you look at the trouble line, you see stymied. you know that's not a good sign, but still gets up there to run second. Castellano on board again Saturday, and I will note Dylan Davis on board Pounce, and Dylan has been. I think Dylan made the correct decision to spend the winter at Gulfstream. He is just off to a great start.
Well, I love Dylan. He's ridden for us for a long time, and called me, I don't know, maybe a month ago or so, month and a half ago, and said, I'm thinking about coming to Gulfstream. And I said, well, you come, you're going to ride a lot for us. And he's already won 5 or 6 races for us at Gulfstream.
Yeah, it's been a phenomenon. I mean, he stuck around New York to kind of finish out the season where he wound up the leader for the year in New York. So I understand sticking around. Then arrived down at Gulfstream after the first of the year. And he's been riding phenomenal. Going back to that Saratoga meet where we were all just amazed that not only did he ride well, but he was coming in with the big prices. So again, it's been interesting to watch. And speaking of Dylan Davis, you have a horse in the Pegasus World Cup Turf. Win for the money for Live Oak, one of your main clients. Dylan Davis will be on board this one. I pulled up a replay. I went back to the weekend. Right after Saratoga, we headed up to Woodbine for Woodbine Mile weekend. We're going to take a look at Win for the Money in the Woodbine Mile. Nice win up there. Subsequently, tried the Breeders' Cup Mile and didn't fare that well. But the follow-up in the Fort Lauderdale was a close-up third. What are your feelings for Win for the Money in the Saturday Pegasus Turf?
Well, you're right. He won the million, and then we went to the Breeders' Cup. When he broke from the Breeders' Cup, he pulled his shoe off at the start, and he never showed up. I thought his last race was very good. He likes the target to run at, but I don't see a lot of speed against in the Pegasus, so he may be on the lead.
Oh, and will that be the instructions, or are you going to leave it up to Dylan?
I don't really give instructions, to be honest.
Yeah.
So we're going to leave it to Dylan. My only instructions will be don't fight with him.
Yeah.
That's all.
Which, as a handicapper, I can appreciate that because that never seems to end well when that happens.
No.
So again, some interesting runners coming up on Saturday in South Florida. But I'm very intrigued, and Mark, I'm taking a shot with your horse in the Southwest. I like Sandman. And again, this is over at Oaklawn, the highlight of the Saturday card, the Southwest Grade 3 event, mile and a 16th. Sandman is coming off of, we'll take a look, the allowance optional claiming win at Oaklawn back on December 13th. He'll be the number 2 horse here. Broke the maiden right up the turnpike from us at Saratoga in career start number 2. I think he's very interesting with this win down at Oaklawn coming into this race. Give us your feelings on Sandman in the Southwest.
Seth, I've always felt like Sandman is a good horse. He trains like a good horse. When we've run him, I've been disappointed. I feel like I never have seen in the afternoon what I saw in the morning, but that changed in his last start. I thought his last race was very good. He's got a race at Oaklawn, round 2 turns. And I think Saturday we'll find out is Sandman a Derby prospect or something a little less. But I'm excited to see him run, and I think he's got a big chance.
As I say, broke the maiden up at Saratoga in a nice performance, so I could see where you would feel like we got something here. How do you work that as a trainer when you feel like, man, I'm really seeing something in the morning. In the afternoon, not so much. Do you switch things up? How do you handle that?
Well, I always felt like that he was a horse that wanted you to take a hold of him and get in a rhythm. Unfortunately, when you're sprinting, it's hard to do that. So, running the 2 turns, and this horse, he needs to run. He's not, it's always been pretty green. So the more races I can get into him, the better. And it showed his last start. He's learning. Yeah,
it did have the look of one of those light bulb kind of with the number increasing nicely. I'm fascinated. I'm rooting for you. As I say, I'm using that one on Saturday. And talk a little bit about winding up with some horses at Oaklawn this winter. What was the decision-making process there?
Well, the persons are very good. I decided not to go back to New Orleans. And so, I just thought Oaklawn made sense. My plan is probably next year to keep a full string in New York year-round. But I wasn't ready to do that this year. So, Oaklawn's worked out well for us. I went to Oaklawn a lot for this horse right here. I thought it was a great spot for him to be at, and a good way to, if he's good enough to get ready for the Kentucky Derby.
That's interesting because it is certainly a lucrative series of steps towards the Kentucky Derby. So again, rooting for you there. And again, you are clearly having a very good meet there. Mark, I wanted to touch on a couple of stakes winners and see if maybe you have plans for them that you had earlier this month to kick off the year. They were both nice winners. And as I say, curious if you have plans going. And first up, we're going to look back the beginning of January at the Ginger Brew down at Gulfstream Park. The winner is going to be Nitrogen. Nice win there from an outside post position. So had that working against her, but she gets it done. What were your impressions of the win from Nitrogen? And again, you have any plans going forward?
It looks like Nitrogen is a really good horse. Her race in the Breeders' Cup was even better than what it looked. She kind of got in trouble about the 4.5, and I think had that not happened, she was going to give the winner a run for her money. I thought her race in the Ginger Brew was amazing. It looked like she was beat, had no shot, but she finished strong. She's going to go back right now. The plan is to take her to the Florida Oaks at Tampa, and then the race at Cleveland, and then the race at Churchill. But I think she's one of the best grass 3-year-old fillies in North America.
I assume you've thought that for a while now because she ran second in the career debut up at Woodbine. And then as a maiden, you followed up with 3 stakes performances, including that win last time. And when you're that bold, you must have high expectations.
Yeah, she's always been one that we've thought a lot of. And she hasn't let us down, It's a hard-trying filly with a big future.
That was clearly a very nice performance. And just looking at one more, going back to New Year's Day at Gulfstream, the Dania Beach. I love the 3-year-olds on the turf. And I say it all the time. It's because almost every venue has a 3-year-old turf race to take a look at. And it goes from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. So that is certainly demonstrated by going back to races like the Dania Beach. This one was moved off. It was on the synthetic, but there are turf performances before. So me, Bago in the Dania Beach, what was your impression there? And again, going forward, you have some plans?
Well, he's a New York bred. Gary Barber purchased him right about the beginning of Saratoga. I had him 10 days or 2 weeks, and we ran in the New York bred dirt race, and he didn't run very well. But after the race, I said to Gary, I said, this is a turf horse. And he's been pretty, he's ran well. I'm trying to, you're right, the Dania Beach came off. but he won the race prior. I can't remember the name of it.
The Pulpit.
He won it impressively. So he runs into Kitten's Joy the first part of the February. But he's a New York bred. He'll end up in New York running on the grass.
So I'm looking at the PPs here. He had the nice win in the career debut at Colonial. He was a private purchase after that?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Bought him after that.
Oh, excellent. So we'll look forward to him and maybe a little up at Saratoga, too. I could see that certainly happening. And, Mark, before I let you go, I'm just curious if you have any thoughts on the news out of Gulfstream over the past week and a half or a couple of weeks with the decoupling situation. I've heard plenty of conversation about it. And the various horsemen's groups have had mixed reactions. So I'm just curious, you're a guy who's plugged in, obviously, to Florida racing with your training facility down there and racing at the various venues. Any thoughts on the decoupling conversation over the past couple of weeks?
Well, disappointing,
yeah,
but not surprising. I don't know how quick this is going to happen. I don't think decoupling in any shape or form is good for horse racing in Florida. But maybe it's an eye opener, and we for Florida, horse racing is very important. It's a huge industry in Florida. We just need to figure out what the best direction is. I've always kind of felt, Gulfstream's down in the middle of so much congestion, and it would be nice to see it move a little farther north. I know there's talk about Hialeah. I personally think that Tampa could have a first-class A meet, and it would be wonderful for the Florida horsemen. But it's something that has to be looked at seriously, and I'm looking at and talking to a lot of different people. We're going to, can't sit still. We're going to keep moving, and as I said, it's going to happen. It may not happen this year. It may not happen 3 years from now. It may not happen 5 years from now. But it's going to happen, and we got to have a plan to make sure we have racing for another 100 years.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I totally agree with your thought that it was an eye opener because it kind of came out of nowhere. It seemed like so. Just as a fan and somebody covering the sport, it was like, wow, okay, well, and there has been plenty of conversation, and hopefully it does tend to move us in a positive direction. Mark, we appreciate the conversation, and we're going to wish you a lot of good luck on the weekend down at Gulfstream and over at Oaklawn as well. And we will talk again.
Okay, thanks for having me, Seth.
Appreciate it. Mark Casse, again, got some runners at Gulfstream on the Pegasus card, and I like Sandman in the Southwest at Oaklawn. We'll see how that all works out on Saturday afternoon. Haven't signed up for a Capital OTB account yet? Now's the time to take advantage of the sign-up bonus. Open up a new account with $200 or more, bet $400 by the end of the month, and receive a bonus $200 into your account. Plus, you can take advantage of everything an OTB account has to offer. Wagering from any device, live streaming, racing info, past performances, online promotions, and more. Sign up today and take advantage of the new account bonus. Details at capitalotb.com.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. In front, but here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Bob. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops, my bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back again. Thanks to Mark Casse for taking time. Caught up with him in his car on the way to Gulfstream yesterday. And also thanks to Ellis Star for joining us live this morning for some thoughts. And it was interesting to hear Ellis's take on some of those Gulfstream races because, again, we were kind of on some of them, we were deep in it, as it were, with my picks and his picks. It's going to be fun to see how it plays out, and looking forward to that Southwest over at Oaklawn. Pegasus Day will kick off in a few minutes, so we'll get off and get you to the opener, which will be at 11 a.m. for the Pegasus. We're open already at the Clubhouse Racebook. We opened at 10:30, so if you want to head down, come on down and enjoy the Pegasus card. Oaklawn kicks off 11:25 their time. That's 12:25 our time. So they have an early start today. Aqueduct is at 12:40. I have all of those tracks in my mix for OTB Live this afternoon. Don't forget, too, we're if you haven't noticed, on the weekdays, I come in and I pre-tape the segments that get dropped in the afternoon. And then we're spending some time producing some content for social media, our Twitter account, Instagram, YouTube. So again, we're a week and a half into that. You can check out some of that content. We put some top 10 lists, plays, and wagers of the day and whatnot. So again, check out the various social media platforms. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. If you watch it, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit the like, subscribe, comment. That helps move things up the list a little bit for us. So again, keep that in mind as well. Here at the Clubhouse Racebook today, I do want to remind you, if you do come down, grab a little lunch over at Black Bear. They have a really good menu. You can sit in. I would expect with the Pegasus, we will have a lively little crowd in here today, and it's always fun to enjoy the races with other people and share some opinions and root along. But also we have a player's bankroll today. So if you come down to the Clubhouse Racebook, you can take your shot in getting it on the player's bankroll team. Every player on the team will get a race to play and a little bankroll to play with. And then at the end of the day, the team splits up the winnings. So should be a fun afternoon here. Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Mentioned earlier Thursday night, it was the Eclipse Awards. And again, no surprises. The notable, as far as voting totals, Torpedo Anna, a unanimous victor in the 3-year-old filly category. Not really a surprise, but notable that the lone unanimous selection. She was also Horse of the Year. That one, Torpedo Anna, 193 votes, Sierra Leone 10, Fierceness 5. So again, she was unanimous in the 3-year-old filly. A couple other horses got votes for Horse of the Year. As I mentioned earlier, most of the categories, the winner was kind of a slam dunk as far as vote totals. 2 categories were fairly close, though. Male Turf Horse, Rebel Romance, 89, Johans, 81, and the trainer, Chad Brown, 101, Kenny McPeak, 88. You can find the full list of winners at, the various DRF, Blood Horse, TDN, NTRA. If you go to the NTRA, they have the vote totals. Some of the other venues might as well, but I found the vote totals on NTRA. And again, just kind of fun to take a look and see how it all parsed out. Coming up at, I believe, around 11:30, Rattle and Roll and another American horse are going to be racing in Saudi Arabia in a prep for the Saudi Cup. So Ken McPeak sent this one over, and Doug O'Neill sent over EJ Won the Cup. Joel Rosario will be on Rattle and Roll. Mike Smith will be on EJ Won the Cup. It's a $400,000 race over in Saudi today. And again, it'll go off at 11:30. The way to watch it, Ken McPeak on his Twitter feed has a link to a Saudi YouTube channel that will play it at 11:30. I think that's kind of, because I don't think it's a betting race essentially over there. So again, if you go to Ken McPeak's Twitter feed, you can watch. But Rattle and Roll and EJ Won the Cup in preps over in Saudi Arabia this morning for the Saudi Cup coming up. February 22nd. Yeah, February 22nd for the Saudi Cup. Just want to alert folks that NYRA announced yesterday there's a job fair coming up February 13th for folks who might be interested working at the track for the Belmont Stakes Festival in June. It will happen on February 13th. It'll go from 2 to 7 p.m. At Saratoga Racecourse. It'll be in the 1863 Club. Enter through the Wright Street entrance right by the 1863 Club, where all the jockey statues are. You enter through there. You can park over by the 1863. So again, 2 to 7 p.m., February 13th, a job fair for folks who might be interested in working at Saratoga during the Belmont Stakes Festival. All right, I'm going to wrap it up so we can get to the opener at Gulfstream. And in fact, before I do that, why don't I give you some thoughts on that opener at Gulfstream, which I think is kind of a complete guessing game with some firsters that have potential. There are a couple of these big days this time of year. Even at Oaklawn, I think there's one or two. 3-year-old races, 3-year-old maiden races of horses that may have some potential going forward. In the opener for me at Gulfstream, 6, 4, 11, and 8. I'm going to put Bulldoze on top. A firster by Nyquist from Todd Pletcher and Mike Rapoli. I think there's a little bit of breeding there. With this team, you have to pay attention. Paid over $250,000 for the horse back as a yearling at Keeneland. Kunan for Brad Cox by Omaha Beach. Same scenario with the connection, human connections and the breeding. Kunan, the 4, is intriguing. Thorsness and up for an Oscar, Chad Brown firster, and another Todd Pletcher firster. The 8 and the 11, I think, are also very usable on similar scenarios with connections and breeding. Fun race, but again, a little bit of a puzzle. In the opener at Gulfstream, it'll kick off an early pick 5, 6, 4, 11, and 8. They're on the track for that opener, however. Do want to remind you also tomorrow at Gulfstream, there's a mandatory in the Rainbow 6. So if you're interested in that, keep your eyes and ears open for tomorrow at Gulfstream, mandatory in the Rainbow 6. We'll talk about that more tomorrow as well. All right, going to wrap it up for Racing Across America on this Saturday as we kick off into a really fun late morning and afternoon of racing from the various venues across the country. They're on the track, the opener at Gulfstream. Again, Oaklawn will kick off at about 12:25. Aqueduct at 12:40 and more here on the network throughout the afternoon. So as always, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Hopefully we gave you some good information and nice ideas. Seth Merrow, Racing Across America on a Saturday morning. And in a couple of minutes, we'll be back for OTB Live late morning and Saturday afternoon. See you then. We would like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet runs now through March 30th with high-quality action throughout, including the Florida Derby on Saturday, March 29th.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.